Alright guys, welcome back to another Evil GT video. I am Ben, Lee's holding the camera, and today we are in the Cupra K1. In part 1, we bought this car, £3,500, cheapest one in the UK it was very tatty. Part 2, we prepped this whole car in Lee's garage. We bought some new wheels from Wig and Bag Parts, we had them refurbished at Rada International. We bought new tyres, they're the Goodyear Eagle F1 Super Sport. We also took the seats, just in there, to MTS Cheshire. They redid all the foam in the bolster, made it like a brand new. And in part 3, rubbed it all down with the sander. We had it painted in this white colour and we mainly put it back together, not completely. And if you're wondering why it's not been completely put back together, is because today we've got an appointment with Awesome GTI to try and make this car 400 horsepower. So just before we take it in there to go and see if we can do 400 horsepower with it, we'd better make sure that the engine's all right. The engine management light came on 10 minutes into the drive home. We found out what that is, and that's the decat. So the car's been decatted, but when we bought it, he took the map off that was on it. So now obviously the car's looking for a cat, which ain't there, and that's why the engine management light come on. And as for the ABS light, that's on because we know about the ABS module. That is broken. We bought it with a broken ABS module, so we need a new one of them. So the ABS module sits just underneath the battery. We definitely need that to be working. We need ABS and traction control, because this is about to have 400 horsepower. At the moment, it's not looking good. Rear tow bushes, rear trailing arm bushes, offside rear caliper, that is seized and not very good. Dog bone mount is split in the middle. Offside outer CV boot is missing its clip. And the aftermarket makeshift intercooler with the pipe, it's catching on the fan, which I think was what was making the noise when we come to pick it up. The rear subframe and all the arms and stuff, they've seen better days, they're a bit crusty. We're gonna have a look to see if we can replace them. Rear subframe with all the bells and whistles on it. Have you got one?
I'll do you the Polybus one for 80 quid, the normal one's 70 quid.
So Danny at Wig and Bag Parts very kindly has said that we can have this rear subframe that is fully polybushed for 80 quid. It is a little bit scabby, but that's nothing a wire brush won't sort out, isn't that right, Lee? Yeah. Johnny's just disconnecting the injectors now so that we can do a compression test to make sure it's all right. The spark plugs definitely need changing. They're the stock spark plugs. I'm going to put some NGK race plugs in it. This should be between 150 and 200. If it's below 150, it ain't good. Come on, girl. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So cylinders 2, 3 and 4 are fine, they're all reading fine, about 13 bar, 190 PSI, we've roughly worked it out, the conversion. Cylinder 1 however, we've had like what, 85 PSI, 100 PSI, I think we got it up as high as 130 PSI, but it's still not anywhere near enough for the tolerance, and it's miles out, so there's something definitely wrong with cylinder 1. Nearly everything is leaking out of that, it's nearly 100% leak, it's gone. But it's not coming out of the dipstick holes, which means it's not coming out the bottom end, it's not coming out of the exhaust, it's coming out of where the oil cap is, which is more likely to be the inlet valves, not quite seating right, which is used sometimes a spring or something, I don't know. But that is the best scenario of a bad situation. So it looks like bad news. Cylinder 1, potentially the piston has cracked, the ring lands have cracked, scored the bore. That means we've got to get the bore bored out, bigger, 1/2 mil probably. Forged pistons, rods, all that kind of stuff. More money, but I can't concentrate on an empty stomach, thanks to today's sponsor, YFOOD. And as luck would have it, I've got a YFOOD just here, in case you didn't see that. And this particular one is a peach lassie. There are loads of different flavours. We've got smooth vanilla. We've also got salted caramel, one of my favourites. These are absolutely delicious. They're a full meal in a shake and they keep you full for up to 5 hours. There's 26 different vitamins and minerals. They're high in fibre, high in protein. They're gluten and lactose free and they taste amazing. There are loads of different flavours to choose from, but if you're unsure as to which ones that you want, there is a taster pack that you can try for yourself.
And don't forget they do the bars and powders.
They do, but for me, it's the ready-made shakes all day. Salted caramel, one of my favourites. Oh yeah. So if you want to go and try some for yourself, make sure you check out the link in the description. Use code EvilGT-YouTube for your money off. Enjoy. There we go, engine's out, right? So we've got a problem with this. This is one of the fuel pipes, I believe, but Greg's saying that the end's all cracked and not very good. It's a little bit crusty and a bit crap, so we need to get a new one of them. Somebody's absolutely butchered the air conditioning pipe at the end of it, as you can see, so we can get a new one of them. Now, I've had a look, TPS, £282 at cost to Awesome GTI for that pipe there, that's it. But Danny at Wig and Bag Parts, 20 quid, what a lad. So we're no professionals, however, that is not supposed to do that.
So we might as well change the flywheel and clutch at the same time.
Why not? We either buy a used engine, which could have other issues, for about £1,200 to £1,500, depending which engine it is, or we could work with the one we've got, maybe bore the block out, put some oversized pistons in, forged pistons, for similar money, but at least we know what we're working with there. So I think what we've decided to do is take the engine out, get it to our unit, strip it down, go and get it machined, get some oversized pistons in it, forged pistons, probably the Wasner kit, something like that. Get it back in, we're gonna have to run it in for about 1,000 miles and yeah, go from there, but I think that's probably the best thing to do with this engine. And the rear subframe on this car is awful, it's really bad. We went to Danny at Wigan Bag Parts and for 80 quid, he's given us this subframe that's polybushed, as you can see. There's polybushes here, polybushes in these. I don't know what the arms are called, you guys will know at home. But the subframe's still a bit crusty. It's not as bad as the one that's on it, but it is still bad. So what I've thought was we could swap it with this. Now the arms on this have just got the standard bushes on, but they're in much better condition, but the subframe's in better condition as well. And Danny has given us this in with the 80 quid. I found a company round the corner that will sandblast and powder coat, make it look like a brand new conditions rear subframe for 220 quid. So I think we're gonna go with that.
Our freshly powder coated and painted black bit of a subframe. The rest of it's in there, and we got it done flare powder coating.
So they sandblasted this and all the arms, primed them and then powder coated them black. 220 quid. I don't know whether that's cheap or it's not. I have no idea, you guys will know.
Well, come and have a look at this.
That's crusty that, mate, yeah.
So where do we start? We could replace all this. Are we going to replace it?
To be fair, I mean, it could do with some suspension. I look at the state of them struts. This isn't the best, is it? That could do. Where's your Rusto?
Director Rusto.
Director Rusto. That's going to sort that out, and it's white.
And these are the only bits we couldn't get powder coated because they're riveted in. Uncle Greg here is going to paint it.
Got a little announcement to make. Dean's son, what's your son's name?
William.
William. For those who watch, if you would very kindly subscribe to Billy Bob's the Boss. He's only 9, so don't pick on him, because I know you give us grief. You can't pick on a 9-year-old, that's tight.
How many people should take a subframe off? Go on, you might as well help when it's 4.
I should now. Well, I haven't got my subframe certificate, but I do have like my nuts and bolts certificate, don't I? So
6.
this is where we come to for the cheapest prices in town, isn't it? We're after 2 rear calipers for the Cupra because one's seized, so obviously you've got to replace them both here, haven't you?
Evil GT 99.
You got to quote that discount code to get 99% off.
Has it ever worked? No, I don't think it has.
No, I don't think it has, not even for us.
Calipers and pads, how much?
Calipers, pads, about 200 quid.
Right, so we found the genuine deal. Go on.
Weird. 90 quid. £90 for that. Better?
Yes.
So now we just need this one. Don't panic when you see the old bearing going on here, because we have ordered new, they're just not going to be here for about 5 or 6 days. So this is at least to get us moving around. These clips here are obviously broke off the brake lines that clip it to the subframe. They're broke, they're 75p each, so we've had to order 4 or 5 of them, whatever it was. We've got the light level sensor to go in. ABS sensors, them. Obviously they were in the old subframe, but they were seized in and all crusty. So backing plate for the discs, both sides, because that one I think was rotten that side, so that's knackered. So when we're talking to you about whether you can buy and build a car for 400 horsepower for less than 10 grand, it's like, well, yeah, you probably could, but could you do it properly? That's probably the question that you should ask. And there's loads of things on this that it's like, even the bolts, look at these bolts, are brand new. Look at them, all brand new bolts. I mean, some of them bolts, no joke, are like £4, £5, £6 each for bolts. It's absolutely ridiculous. These are knackered. So I've ordered coilovers with the springs for front and rear. I've ordered anti-roll bar for the rear, anti-roll bar for the front. The old drop links are seized on the old crusty subframe, so we've got to get drop links for it as well. But it'll be like Trigger's broom, this car. I don't think there'll be much left of the original car to see. But the best thing that we have bought is this bad boy. It is a TTE 480. So even though we only really want to go 400 horsepower, I'm not interested in much more than that. A nice, safe, steady 400 horsepower. I bought this K1 because I thought it was less of a lemon than the one we went to first, because that one was £1,000 more expensive and 40,000 more miles. However, we are establishing that this car, especially the engine, is definitely a lemon.
someone's done the timing belt and they've not put the case back on properly, so the idler's been running through that. So it's a good job you are stripping it and not going straight to 400.
Right, because that wouldn't have been good.
No.
So that's all of this bit here for anybody who's wondering. Where does that down here somewhere?
So
this bit that snapped off.
Well, that's been running on for a little while.
In there. Yeah, that's not good. Right.
So I'm glad you've took the engine out to do the turbo, because someone's had to go over turbo before and kindly snapped some bolts for us.
Right, that one's snapped, that one's snapped.
That one hasn't, that one's snapped.
Right.
And that one's been snapped for some time. Being butchered.
Oh my god. Is there anything good about this? All I could hear from this corner was Scott going, oh well, that was loose, that was broke, that's missing. Oh, it's probably a good job I took that off because that was loose. That is worrying.
These engines have a lot of common issues. That's one of them is the wear on the cam follower, and that actually looks okay, so that's a good sign.
Right, would you still say that we should replace it anyway?
No, we're going to replace the follower,
right,
but we don't need to replace that. This engine's definitely being apart at some point because the valves are clean.
Right.
If anyone knows these, they coke up.
Right.
And these aren't that bad actually. It's been looked after in some sense, it's not been put together very well. This is the moment of truth.
How bad it actually looks in there. This is the cylinder we've been having the issues with compression. It doesn't actually look that big a issue. I mean, there's a slight bit, can't see my finger, slight bit on that bit there, but not like that should be losing 100 psi, surely.
No, the head gasket was definitely gone because we saw that coolant was leaking out the side. However, what we did find is the timing belt was loose. There's a good chance that we've got some bent valves. You'd expect it to be all the way across, but we've got good compression on 2, 3 and 4, haven't we?
Yeah.
I would say that needs to go and get tested as well.
Time for sump off.
Yeah, someone's used a nice amount of silicone on it.
Bathroom ceiling, that's what I like to see. There's also quite a lot on the Focus RS as well, so yeah.
Is there?
Yes, there's quite a lot on the Focus RS, definitely.
So there's another common issue that we're going to be dealing with.
What's that?
Balance shaft. High horsepower cars at high RPM, these seize.
Right, okay.
And then your engine's dead.
Well, that's definitely something that we could do without, mate, to be honest with you.
There isn't actually any crap in there, which is rare. And the silicone has managed to stay away from anything internal, so there's a little bit of plastic. It's to be expected.
Yeah, that doesn't look that bad, actually.
No.
How does that piston look?
There's no broken rings, and the ring lands are fine, yeah.
I'm confused now where this compression loss is coming from, because you're saying that the bore inside there, obviously the other side, underside is fine, or it looks okay. Piston also looks okay.
Yeah,
That's
seems
fine.
to be fine.
So then it's got to be the head, hasn't it? It's got to be a valve somewhere, a vent valve, something not seating right in there.
Yeah, it could even be an injector. So when it's had a possible valve clean, it might have had an injector out and not seated correctly. But we do know the injectors are seized in.
Can't get these out at all.
No, they're seized in. They're going to need pulling.
Brilliant. And this is what happens when you start messing about with engines and, you know, wanting more power and all this kind of stuff.
What happens when you buy lemons?
We haven't actually established whether it is a proper lemon yet, because we don't know what the problem is. Scott very kindly stripped this engine down for us, and we were hoping to see a massive big gouge in this bore and broken ring lands on the piston and all that kind of stuff. However, we didn't.
They're all okay.
They're all fine. The pistons and the rings are all fine. There's nothing wrong with them at all whatsoever. However, in here, there is a tiny, I don't know if you can pick that up on camera there.
Yeah, I got
but
it.
there's a vertical, there's 2 or 3 vertical lines, literally bang vertical up and down, that you can actually get your fingernail into. You can feel them a tiny bit. Nowhere near enough for 100 psi loss. But there is a slight score on the bore in there. That then doesn't solve our problem as to where this compression leak is coming from. So Tabby said, put some oil in here. So these should all be perfectly sat flush and seated. There was more oil in here, but it's just because I've dabbed it up, because we're going to be taking this to somewhere in a second anyway. You can see that it's been leaking out through the inlet valve, which means that it's one, if not both, of the inlet valves that aren't seated correctly, whether it's because they're bent or whatever it may be, I don't know. Which would explain our compression loss. There's a place, literally, you could throw a brick on their roof from here, where they're going to do a pressure test on that as well anyway, just to check to make sure there's no other leaks anywhere else. And they can bore this out. We're probably going to get a set of half mil oversized Wassenaar pistons, the forged piston and rod kit. Thank you very much for watching part 4. If you've enjoyed what you've watched, please subscribe to the channel. Great news, we've identified what the issue is. In part 5, we're going to be forging the engine, putting the forge rods and pistons in. We're going to be skimming the head and doing whatever else that needs, I don't know. Putting it all back together, but there might be a bit of a twist. So check that out, part 5, and we'll see you there.